Alright, boys, so gain muscle is easy after you understand this, right? What I'm about to tell you is gonna change your mind in terms of like how you go about your training and how you go about, putting, your effort in the gym to maximum potential, right? So yeah, we'll start off with like my transformation. So this is me back in when I was like 15 or 14, and this was when I was like 21, right? I'm 25 now. But yeah, I've gained a little bit of weight, but like that's besides the point, right? I've made this transformation and I made it like without any drugs or anything like that. Like this is all natural, and I've made this transformation within like it took me like 4 or 5 years, but you could probably do it in like 3 years, considering the amount of information that's out there on the internet these days. Um, the amount of correct information that's there on the internet these days, right? So you can make this transformation even faster if you literally put what I tell you into action, right? So um, yeah. So what did I do in terms of like, like my journey, right? In terms of my journey, what did I do? I literally did trial and error, right? So um, I was like, okay, so I need to gain muscle, but like there's so much information on the internet that it can get quite overwhelming. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start somewhere and work my way up, right? So after like doing trial and error for like a few months, right, trying a few routines, push pull legs, bro split. I settled on bro split, right. But what I came to realize is that um you can't train like the all the muscle groups in the same way, right? You can't train big muscle groups and small muscle groups the same way, right? Because they're different. I mean, they're obviously different, but like, um, the stimulus, the stimulus that this big muscle groups need, like your chest, oh sorry, like your chest, your back, and your legs, um, they need a lot more stimulus than like your small muscle groups, like your arms and your shoulders, right? So, um, when they require bigger stimulus, you need to lift heavy weight, right? And the same goes for the small muscle groups, right? So small muscle groups require less stimulus than bigger muscle groups. Hence, you don't have to lift heavy weight, right? Just tell me like how many people that you have seen um literally like you know come up with like shoulder injuries and stuff like that. It's because they overload their shoulders with like, let's say they're doing like a shoulder press and they overload it with so much weight that it becomes like too much. And like shoulder press, well, I was gonna put a SP there. Shoulder press is like the easiest way to get injured if you're like overloading it with so much weight, right? Because a lot can go wrong there, right? Because when you overload it with so much weight, like if your arm goes like a little bit backwards, right, a little bit backwards, and you lose balance, um, you literally like that's it, that's over for you because your rotator cuff is gonna go off, right, and it's gonna get injured. So, um, but yeah, to make my point, it just requires way less stimulus. Um, I'll put then smaller muscle groups. Okay, that's wrong. There needs to be bigger muscle groups. Require less stimulus than bigger muscle groups. Hence, you don't have to lift heavy weight, right? Um, and beginners obviously, like I said, get injured lifting heavy weight for small muscle groups. Sure, you can do like shoulder press, but like make sure you don't overload it with so much weight, right? And the same goes for like arms and shoulders. How many people have you seen with like bicep tears? And I saw this video of like Callum One Moga um overloading, like him and Sebum doing like a like a bicep curl with like a barbell, right? And they overload it with so much weight. Obviously, that's like that's like for fun or whatever. I'm sure they didn't take it seriously, and they didn't do that on a regular basis. But um, Von Moga actually got injured when he actually did that, and like it was so much weight, like it was unfathomable amount of weight. But the thing is like that he got injured, right? Like if you put the same amount of literally the same amount of weight on like a rowing machine or something like that, it wouldn't probably result in an injury, right? Um, and that's the basic gist of it, right? So like for bigger muscle groups, you need to go above and beyond to lift heavy to get like the amount of stimulus that it needs to break down those muscle fibers and create micro tears in those muscle fibers so that you literally grow, right? You recover and you grow. But for small muscle groups, like you can increase your reps, you can increase your sets, um, but you don't need to increase your weight, right? Be a lot lower in weight, and you can increase your reps and your sets to like progressively overload. Obviously, the key here is to like progressively overload, right? Progressively overload. So to progressively overload, you need to increase either the reps, either the sets, or the weight, right? So if you're not increasing the weight, you need to increase the reps and the reps and the sets. Yeah. So next time you go to the gym, just think about this. Like small muscle groups require less weight, and bigger muscle groups require more weight, right? And with bigger muscle groups, you can obviously still increase the reps, still increase the sets, but the main lever that you're using to gain muscle with the bigger muscle groups is increasing the weight, right? The tension on the muscle when you literally start lifting heavy weight, like it goes up by an astronomical level, right? So just keep that in mind next time you go to the gym, and just don't get injured, right? You need to think about like the long term game that you're playing here, right? And that's obviously how I got to this point right here. Oh shit, that's how I got to this point right here, right? Where I'm like fucking pretty jacked for my age, and like, well, this was when I was like 21, but like still like pretty jacked for my age, and like coming from here, I was really skinny, right? So I gained all this muscle, um, by following that, you know, by following that blueprint, right? Pretty much. Like I found it out for myself. No one really told me like, okay, so big muscle groups require. It's actually common sense if you think about it. But like no one really told me like, okay, bro, like the bigger muscle groups require more weight and small muscle groups require less weight. So don't fucking injure yourself, right? I actually like, there's times where I didn't know about this, and like I literally went and like shoulder pressed like 30 kg, which is like, nuts. Well, nuts for like a shoulder press, because like there's so much that can go wrong there, right? So why not just minimize your risk of injury and like literally like play it safe, right? You're playing the long game. You want to get to this point with like minimal levels of injury, right? And I don't have any injuries to this day, right? I don't have any injuries. So that just goes to show you like many people like when they get to my level, like I've been training for 7 8 years now, and when they get to my level they're literally riddled with injuries and things like that, you know. But you need to do your stretching, which is another topic of its own. But you need to do your stretching before you start your workouts anyway, and just don't get injured, and just try this out, you know, and you'll thank me later. So yeah, that was me for today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.